whether it is significant or not, the stocks are down.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Yes, indeed. I mean, they are down, and that's to be expected. But I think they would have been lower had there not been any flip-flopping from the NYSE. Because the fact that they are vacillating on whether to delist or keep these firms have basically taken out the bite from that decision. And in any case, that has allowed the market to digest the fact that these firms have very little exposure to the New York Stock Exchange, as most of these three firms have only had around 2 to 5% of their market cap listed in the U.S., which means that they're not necessarily going to be cut off from the capital markets.
How do you expect the Biden administration to move on this?
Well, considering the lack of clarity and the bureaucratic issues over the implementation, I would expect that the Biden team would delay implementation, or at least they wouldn't really be rushing out to implement until they have a deeper review of the executive orders, which could buy time for the market. And we could actually be looking at around 6 months before they decide on implementation.
Eugenia, I mean, we have a Democrat controlling the Senate, set to control the Senate. That would pave the way for more stimulus. I'm just wondering, that means a weaker dollar. Taking a look at the macro picture of currencies here in Asia, there's more upside to be had, yes?
As far as dollar Asia is concerned, well, the market clearly wants to sell dollars, and that is likely to continue. And my expectation, in fact, is that the dollar yuan would lead that charge. Over the last 3 or 4 days, we've seen a massive move in the yuan. But in my view, that's really a catch-up because it was really on a very tight range in December. But in any case, at this point, considering the current momentum in the dollar, I see downside risks to my current forecast of 640. We could even be possibly seeing 620 for dollar yuan, at least in the first half of 2021.
Generally speaking, Eugenia, what are your forecasts and what are the best, or should I say, the biggest risks to those assumptions?
Well, at this point, the growth of at least 2% in China is all but certain. And right now, my forecast for 2021 GDP is at 8%. However, there are risks to that forecast primarily because credit growth will ease. It has already started to ease. And more importantly, in comparison to the rest of the world, Beijing will already begin unwinding some of its fiscal stimulus, in which case the support is already being pulled back. On top of that, we have ongoing corporate bond defaults, and wherein we have Beijing and the PBOC giving a clear message that they're not going to be supporting unprofitable entities. So overall, that could exacerbate the tightening in the financial conditions that we've already seen. No matter how careful the PBOC in terms of providing liquidity, it is not a foolproof plan. There are still some challenges, even for the most profitable entities, to access capital markets at this point.
But things could all change, couldn't they? If we do see more defaults coming through, you know, this whole drip feed approach, which has kept investors calm, may not be enough.
Indeed, it may not be enough. I mean, we've already seen that a lot of the bond issuances that had been in the pipeline had been canceled. So a lot of these planned bond issuances were from companies that were quite profitable. So we are seeing some cracks in the market confidence, and it could actually pull down good credit with a bad. But just yet, we haven't seen that. Because right now, the onshore rates have clearly been capped. And we've also seen that the government bond yields in China has also started to go down.
Very, very quick question here, Eugenia, and that is, which is your most sort of left field prediction for 2021?
My left field, okay, I think that the dollar dollar peso would continue to go down, considering that the Philippines is likely to be the last to recover in the region, even if we have a lot of vaccines available.